Hey everyone, Aaron here from Project Spartan. Today I want to bring you a video about goal setting. If you give me a couple of minutes of your time, hopefully I can change the way that you approach your goal setting, and in turn that should help you reach your goals by making them a little bit more realistic and changing the way you think about them. So when I'm meeting a new client, I hear this a lot. That's the reason I'm making this video. One of the most common things I hear when I'm first sitting down for that initial interview is some form of goal along the lines of I want to lose weight, or I want to reach X weight, whatever that number might be, something they plucked out of thin air that they think they might like, or perhaps a weight that they've been at the past where they felt the most comfortable, or they felt their fittest, or happiness, something like that. But yeah, it's always something along those lines. It's always some form of weight goal. Now, what they mean, and what I know they mean, and what they probably know deep down they mean as well, is actually fat loss, not weight loss. And they're very different. So weight loss, you could cut off one of your legs, and you're going to lose weight, right? You could, anything like that. You could drop a bunch of muscle and lose weight, and that's often what they do. But I'll go over that in a whole separate vlog. But yeah, what they actually want to do is drop body fat. Now, dropping body fat is a much different way to measure your goals. Okay, so when your goal is to drop weight, obviously you use the scales. You weigh yourself at the start. You carry on. You continue to weigh yourself, so on and so forth. You'll be dropping weight and you'll feel good, or you'll not be dropping weight and you'll give up. Dropping body fat is a very different story. So the most effective way to drop body fat is generally weight training and growing muscle. The more muscle you put on your body, the more effective your body becomes at burning fat. Like your body metabolizes fat a lot easier the more muscle you have. It's kind of like a self-perpetuating cycle. So weighing yourself in that scenario is not really a waste of time, but it can actually be detrimental. Because especially at the beginning, you'll often go up in weight, and that can be really, really disheartening for someone just starting out. You got to remember that density-wise, muscle is between a third and a half, like the size for the same amount of weight. Let me draw a weight picture. Try and make it a bit clearer. So, something like that. So both of these weigh 5 kilos, okay? This is the amount of space that 5 kilos of muscle might take up. This is the amount of space that 5 kilos of fat might take up. So you can imagine, you did that on a larger scale, so you've got, 10, 20 kilos, whatever, to lose. That amount of weight and fat is obviously going to be a lot, okay? It's going to be a lot of actual size on your body. That same amount of weight and muscle is going to take up a whole lot less space, which is why you often see, and my clients learn, over the course of their training when they're reaching their goals, they can be completely transformed, look completely different, much smaller, toned, and actually weigh the same or a little bit more than they started out. And it's just about that density and the amount of actual space that these take up. To make it just a wee bit clearer, got a little bit of science, trying to get too technical here. So the fat cells under the microscope look a little bit like this. Okay, if you look at fat cells under a microscope, they look a little bit like marshmallows, kind of all quite closely packed together. But what these marshmallows are is just big storage space, basically. Like the cells themselves, very large, not very dense, not full. It's just all this storage space, because that's what it's used for. That's what fat is at the end of the day. It's just storage tissue. That's why it takes up so much room. Now, if you look at muscle tissue under a microscope, you see something like that. Okay, it's very, very tightly packed, fibers just packed right down on top of each other. Okay, they're just muscle fibers, extremely dense, and so it takes up not much space. Okay, so weight versus space. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the reason. You really got to focus on not worrying too much about the weight. It doesn't really mean anything. I encourage people at the start of their fitness journey, whatever their goals might be, is don't worry about the scales. Okay, throw your scales away. Don't even weigh yourself at the start. Don't weigh yourself at the end. There's only one really good way to measure your progress without outside of getting, you know, into proper body composition scans and stuff like that, and that's just the mirror. You know your own body. Like nobody knows your body better than you do. You can look in the mirror. You can see a change. You know, the best advice I can give you is take a photo of yourself, you know, completely at rest at the beginning, and then just take periodic photos throughout your journey. And then if you're ever unsure if you're making progress or if you're on the right track, you can just go back and look at them. If you can't just tell just by looking in the mirror. But yeah, it's often quite interesting to go back, look at the very first photo you took, you know, if you're weighing in, if you're still using your scales and you didn't throw the fucking things away, then yeah, you might look at it and go, oh, I've lost no weight, you know, this is terrible, but you go back and look at it, it should be completely different. Yeah, the problem with the scales as a measure, it's kind of like BMI. That's, you know, if you don't know how terrible BMI is, then I will be doing another vlog on that. But most people by this point know that BMI is a complete joke because it takes no account of body composition at all. For example, according to a BMI scale, I would be technically borderline obese. Okay, you know, and yeah, like using the scales as a measure of your fitness or your goals or your weight loss is basically the same as BMI. It takes no account of body composition. So if you've got muscle which is very dense but still weighs a lot, yeah, then it's just going to look bad. So I hope it helped. Summarizing, scales are bullshit. Don't use them. Throw them away. Don't get hung up on your weight. Hope it helped. Have a great day.